So Larry, you tell me what, in your own words, what happened?
Well, we were brought out here from RAF Bentwaters. Didn't know why, thought it was an exercise. We got to a clearing back in the forest, and then we moved in through the trees and came to this location where there were other personnel and a ground mist that was lit.
Describe to me the scene as you came into this field, exactly what you saw.
There was a mist on the ground. It was about 50 foot in diameter.
In what position to the ground was it located? How close to the ground?
Yeah, it was part of the ground. The mist was part of the ground, about a foot in height.
So literally about this.
Right here, yeah.
So this large piece of mist.
Structured, had shape to it.
Okay.
And you could see through it at times. It was greenish yellow fog, it looked like, but it had a light to it. It was lit.
What is around this mist? Anything?
Oh, what's around? The mist was a lot of security personnel not far away. There were 2 cameras at that time. Immediately there would have been about 30, 34. There were a lot of off-duty people that were showing up. Then the British police, the Suffolk Constabulary, arrived.
Okay. And in terms of you're told to join the circle, is that right?
At one point, I was about 15 feet away. And at that point, we could hear, I thought I heard helicopters, which would have been from the air rescue.
Yep.
And in reality, it was a red light out toward the North Sea.
So we're in the field. You said that you've been asked to join a number of officers. You talked about that. Now, in terms of, you said that there was a red light. Which direction would you say the red light came from?
From the North Sea, so it was across that way.
Where does it stop? Does it stop? Does it fly on or what?
This red light thing, this round sphere thing, came in and stopped over the mist about 30 feet above it, right in front of us. Cameras all went up, saw them, they were on it, they were on, snapping pictures were going off.
Okay, hold it there. So let's see if I understand this. So the object's coming from that direction, 300 feet high, and it's coming in and it stops over the yellow mist.
Exactly.
What happens next?
Instantly, as soon as that's there, because you're saying, what the hell is this? There was a flash of light, as I recall it, that damaged my eyes and others. It was shards, long things of light. I've just tried to describe. No sound, no heat, no nothing. It was kind of a cold night, I guess. But there was just this blinding flash of light, and you could literally see sticks of light. I don't know how to describe it.
What color was the light?
Gold, blue. There was blue things in it, and it was just that quick, like a flash of silver with gold and blue in it.
Okay, then what?
Structured explosion. It wasn't all over the place. It was this pyramid. The next thing I saw in front of me, within 15 feet, was a structured, well, it looked structured to me. It was part of the ground. It was 20 feet at the base. It rose to about 15 feet at a rounded point at the top. It had what I saw of it, one part that came toward me, one part in it concaved, and then another part came down on both sides. So it looked like a pyramid thing, but with a front part coming off. It was all lit up. There were rainbow effects. It would change. If you caught a straight look at it, it would distort instantly.
And what you're saying to me is, at this point where you see this thing, whatever it is, you're only 15 feet away.
I was 15 feet away from it, maybe 20 at the most.
I'm going to count out 5 paces, which is approximately 15 feet, a yard a pace.
Okay.
And this is how close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
So this is as close as you are to it.
Right now, yeah.
That's pretty close.
That's too close, exactly.
And all the other airmen are very close to it as well.
Everyone else was around that close.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay. There's this object there that you've given a really good description. What happened next? How many guys went forward?
There was the guys with the Radiac stuff. There were 2 of them. Unfortunately, it was me and Sergeant Bastinza, because we were told to go in and mark them, and we were that close. So probably at 1.5 feet from this
Sergeant object. Bastinza, what's his first name?
Adrian Bastinza.
And in relation to where you are, how far away is Adrian?
He's where you and I are right
So
now.
you're more or less stood right next to each other.
I was here, he was there.
So he's
on
pretty
my
close.
left.
And
Yeah.
then what?
It was like the surface of this thing was alive, which I've never really described it that way. I always try to kind of step away from this part of it because you're trying to grasp something you actually can't. But I can see it, but it's alive. It's a changing, but the shape of it and the structure to it was exactly never changed. It's a skeleton. Its outer exoskeleton. That was the same.
Oh, so the outer structure, shape, remained the same, but
Remained.
within...
It was just, it would distort. You'd start getting a grip and then it would all do a kind of, picture this kind of woo.
Was there anything else seen?
Yep.
Tell me what about that.
Well, on this delta thing, I describe them as these points that came off it, the big things. I mean, the structure of it. To the right of it, this thing moved out, and this light came out. It was a goldish blue light. It was about a foot off the ground here, and it just moved out. It was only about that big off the ground.
So you're describing something that's appearing to come out.
Separate, it came separate. It just like it came off the fabric of this object.
So it just appears.
It just separated from the object.
And what is this light?
The light was very bright and started to dissipate, and Bastinza said to me, there's kids here, which you hear commonly in this subject I've heard since.
Yeah.
And as it faded, you could see these three things that had, they were beings. Or
Physically describe them as best you can.
they had white ghost kind of faces. They're all bright and lit up, but they were separate. And then that light all split into three different lights. So these things were inside light. It wasn't like aliens walking around in the field.
So one light that kind of divides into three separate things.
The whole thing just split apart, and there was one of them in each. And this thing, like, you blow a bubble?
Yeah.
Off those rings. I've never just, and you blow the bubble.
Yeah.
There's the bubble. That's how this thing came off the craft.
How tall were these?
3 feet.
3 feet.
Yeah, so it brought the whole thing up to about 4 feet.
And in relation to the height from the ground, that these...
A foot off the ground. They weren't even
So
on
literally, they're,
yeah.
If these were 3 feet, they're about there, visually.
The tops of them, well, then the
That's
light
the bottom, and they're 3 feet above that.
Yeah, they're about here.
But what effect was this having on you when you see these strange things?
We had some people do things to themselves afterwards, and you see him called Alabama, but it was because the guy actually had a real name, and that was Jones, Russell Jones, and he committed suicide.
So let me just see if I'm understanding what you're saying is that probably or possibly as a direct result of what he got involved in here, it affected him.
100%.
He was put back on the shift
100%.
when he wasn't psychologically ready.
Exactly.
And you then responded after he had committed suicide as one of the first officers on the scene.